You think our vote counts when they out counting the checks? Check your 6 for the 12, but it's 5 for the feds. And if you start thinking different, then they'll apply you with meds. Give you a phone, let social media supply you with stress. So go apply for the check. The cash is just the cash and we're all walking dead. The cash is just the cash and we're all walking. I shouldn't say it. Still, I'm just a victim of material systems. I try to stay away from rapping about materialism, but my pride, I can't deny that. I look into my daughter's eyes and money can't buy that.
Whoever sees this and subscribes right now will get free facial hair. Hey, give it time. It'll grow on you. What's going on, YouTube? It's Knox, and we are back. The reaction series. So today, man, listen, a lot of you guys have been sending me this, right? One of the greatest independent artists in Russ has given an interview that has taken the internet by storm. So many people are talking about this because he goes in on the industry. We're talking industry plants. We're talking paying for streams. And we're talking about these rappers lying. So I thought, you know what? Let's dive into some of this conversation and see what's up, because I think it's really, really interesting and something you guys are going to want to hear. So let's check it out.
I'll tell you, the only thing I ever lied about on a rap song was on Kill Them All, and I called my business manager and he talked me out of it, was on Kill Them All when I mentioned like something like run over these bloggers in my Lambo. And I swear to God, I'll call my business manager right now. I said, bro, like, I don't have a Lambo. I have a McLaren. Like, I think I should buy a Lambo. So this line is I swear to God, I swear on my mom's, on everyone's.
Wow, that is a flex and a half. Should I go buy this so I can make the line make sense?
Life. That was the only time I ever lied to my raps.
Wow.
And in fact, if we listen, maybe I changed the line, but yeah, that was the only time I ever lied, because I'm not making music to persuade y'all. I'm making music for me. Right. So if I'm not really doing the drugs, or if I'm not really having the trauma, I'm not pushing it.
Okay,
and
but
that's
you say it's a negative thing, but we have movies. Like, movies are
bro,
fiction. Movies are entertainment.
There's a difference between saying this is my life and this is fiction.
I love this debate. I love this debate because it doesn't land. I'll tell you why. Ooh. There's no leg to stand on. Movies are under the notion that it's fiction, like you said. Mm-hmm. When you watch Scarface, you're going into the theater like, I'm about to watch a story. The appeal to rap is that it's real.
I watch gangster flicks and root for the bad guy. Turn it off before it ends because the bad guy dies. Shout out to 50 Cent.
In fact, to the point that rappers make it a point to say that they're real. So you can't, that whole notion of like, nah.
But that's the thing. It's like you're selling art. So I have a stage name, I have a persona.
You're absolving accountability. You're absolving accountability.
I don't think so.
I think you are, because the reality is, that's fine, but then make it clear that it's the WWE. But don't go out of your way to
WWE doesn't make it clear it's WWE.
That's a great point. They received a lot of criticism for it.
Watch,
but it doesn't matter. No one says what they're doing is bad.
No, WWE.
Not necessarily, because it was the WWF, and then they had to change it to the WWE. Their name shows that it's just for entertainment. That's what the E is. So not necessarily. That doesn't land as much of a counter as this dude obviously thinks it would.
Watch.
But it doesn't matter. No one says what they're doing is bad.
No. WWE makes it clear to the people who, like, at a certain age, you know Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah. WWE has never said publicly these are staged.
Of course.
If you have eyeballs, you know.
But what I'm saying,
and I feel the same way when you see a rapper. It's like, if you have eyeballs, you know this shit is bullshit.
That's exactly how I feel about rap.
No, not always. Not always. There's plenty of artists that put on a persona that people will just follow and just eat up just because they look at them, they see the tattoos, they see who they're surrounded by. You know, these labels know how to manufacture and present you with an image, like the Rick Rosses of the world, bragging about like the extensive, crazy Pablo Escobar type level drug deals that he was doing, right? There's ways to present artists to make them look more enhanced. That's always the case, right? So no, not necessarily because you have eyeballs, but you know, I get both sides of the argument, because at the end of the day, what Russ is saying is so true though. And I think because Russ is independent, Russ stays true to himself. So those of us who think like that, you know, we're going to approach the art form of rap in that way, right? If it doesn't apply to me, if it isn't a reflection of my life, then why say it? And that is true. That is the roots of hip hop versus movies, which can start off going, you know this is going to be a fantasy walking into it. You know this is going to be entertainment. But on the flip side of it, it's still under the umbrella of the entertainment industry. You know, like even the Slick Ricks back in the day, the Busta Rhymes, they, you know, rocking like the thick, heavy chains and coming out. There's that showmanship factor as well. You still have to be an entertaining character. I mean, maybe some of these dudes, you know, they take their personality and what you get is like enhanced, like times 10, larger than life. But that's kind of what you have to be because it's entertainment. But I think when you look at the core subject matter and content, it's true that I think there's got to be that truth to self-identity and self-expression. For me, that is the purest art form of emceeing and the purest art form of hip-hop. It's a really interesting conversation. Let's see where we keep going with this.
Of course,
if you have eyeballs, you know.
But what I'm saying,
and I feel the same way when you see a rapper. It's like if you have eyeballs, you know this shit is bullshit.
That's exactly how I feel about rap.
No, but realistically, right? Yeah. A lot of the appeal of rap, this is what I'm saying, because when you keep in mind that the main consumer is a white boy who thinks it's real, you have to understand that the appeal is that it is real. So, like, even though they're not saying it, they're not saying it. You see what I'm saying? It's like the whole appeal of like this slide on op music is like, yo, I think they really are. And a lot of them really are.
But wrestling's that. Like people thought Stone Cold hung out with his friends and went like that, drink his beer.
Rap is not wrestling.
I would talk about that's how I drink my beer.
Here's what I would say.
The appeal of rap was that it was not wrestling. The appeal of rap was that it was real.
Reality
Everyone
rap,
is under the notion that it's real.
I understand.
And it could talk about things that other songs just were not talking about, a side of life in situations that weren't being addressed in other realms of music. That was the strength of hip-hop, and it was huge on social commentary for the local communities as it came up.
The point,
I know, because we're all grown men, that it's not real, but I'm saying the appeal
a lot of people still believe it's real, and also there are rappers.
It's still real to me, damn it. Have you seen that?
I think 70% of the people at a wrestling show think that shit is real.
No, it's not 70%, but here's what it is. I
dare any of y'all to come out and I dare any of y'all to come out and say one of these rappers is lying about the shit they're rapping about.
I think
because that rapper will die on a hill defending the shit they're making.
Here's the thing. I think most of us know.
They say they're telling the truth.
Yeah, because it's their livelihood, right? It's their image that they've sold.
Keeping up the persona.
Yo, it's
like people will literally, it's wild, man. Welcome to the age of the internet and the influencer. People will double down on things that they aren't just for the sake of that's the image that they've portrayed and what they've given. And there's no backtracking. We live in a society where if you backtrack, you're weak all of a sudden. You know, there's so many stipulations to that and stimula going against that, like anyone going, you know what, you're right. It's really hard to admit the other side's right. You kind of just like get dug in and you got to like side choose and you got to like push back. You have to show a sign of strength.
Wrestling.
Pride gets in the way so much. What did J. Cole say? Pride is a devil.
In that we know at a certain age, you know it's fake, but we all just kind of, and I can't speak for black people, but I think the rest of us kind of buy into, look, we know most of this is bullshit, but let's all pretend it's real because it's just a fun thing, like wrestling. It's just a fun storyline we're all buying into, and I can't speak for the black consumer, but I think most of us at a certain age know most of these rappers ain't doing nothing. They got fucking Roth IRAs or whatever investment accounts, and we're all buying into this game.
We have aged out of the audience that is influenced the most by rap. We've aged out. So you're talking, right? We're talking amongst each other as grown men who understand that it's not Santa who's bringing the presents. The audience that's most influenced by rap thinks it's real. And the issue that I have is that if it is not real, don't push it because it's negative. Now, if what you're pushing is positive and it's not real, push it by all means.
That's Santa Claus.
Santa Claus isn't real, but it's positive. Y'all shit isn't real, but it's negative.
Wrapping around the tree, presents, gifts, come on.
You're not even living it? Nicki spoke on Future saying when I talked to Future, he told me he wasn't even doing the drugs that he talks about in the songs. I think Future's music is amazing. I'm grown enough to have the discernment to say...
Amazing production on Future's tracks, man.
This shit is... Stick to the Models is like my favorite shit, right?
Russ, watch your mic.
Sorry. Stick to the Models by Future is my favorite shit, right? But I also know that the reason why I wanted to try lean when I was 19 was Future. Was Future.
And I'm
not gonna blame him. That I'm grown.
I did think the drug shit was real. I knew the slide on ops wasn't, but
the drug shit.
No, I'll tell you why the drug shit can't be real. Because you
cannot survive.
You can't do that many drugs and live this long.
No.
Okay. But not to advocate
which is why
for
when
negative.
Juice
Yeah.
said, I started doing.
You know, I paused, but I paused too soon. I was getting ready to say, you know, look at someone like Juice, unfortunately. Rest in peace.
Live this long.
Yes, okay. But not to advocate
Which is why
for
when
negative.
Juice World said, I started doing these drugs because of you, we have seen it live in the flesh. Juice World said, I did drugs because of you. Juice World died of.
I get it. I mean, look, this is interesting because, you know, I'm a conscious rapper as well. And I think Russ has a bit of that to him and his values, right? In terms of the music that he makes. And the one thing Russ doesn't do is the glorification of drug use. And like some people will say, you know, when I listen to music, I don't want to think. I just want to feel. I want to enjoy it. I want a good party song. I want a good club hit, right? But I think that there's ways to create those club hits and those party songs that still aren't necessarily detrimental in the message that they send to the consumer, right? Because it's so true. You have so many young minds and teenage minds as well that really embrace hip hop, embrace rap, the rebellious spirit and nature of it, right? It's so enticing. It's so engaging. But the thing is, I've talked about this before, you are the sum of the information that you fill your brain with each and every day. What you choose to consume is incredibly important. The news articles that you read, where you read them from, the music that you listen to, the TV that you watch, the games that you play, all of this filters into your brain and into your subconscious. And it does come out in other ways in your decision-making process eventually, whether you realize it or not. And it makes sense, especially younger, more malleable minds. And you look at people coming up in the hood, man. If they're listening to Slide on the Ops all the time and they're in a culture that glorifies it and then glorifies drug use, I mean, it makes it very fucking difficult for them to have really good role models to break out, to set an example, to rise above it. And then you look at kids in other areas that are in more affluent areas, but then they might get bored and they might start leaning into the drug use because it's all over mainstream music. You have this massive glorification of drug use and degrading things, focusing solely on materialism, material values. It's all about the wealth that you have. It's all about the drug celebration, partying, right? Womanizing. And a lot of that just gets mixed into hip hop. And you can see how there can be negative connotations to it at the end of the day. Now, look, I always think we need a balance, right? Yeah, sure, it's okay to have party music. It's okay to want to enjoy it. But you have to have a balance, I think, really in the mainstream to the messages that are being put out. Because there's a lot of really dope hip-hop that gets pushed underneath. And this happened way back in the 90s, too. You had the De La Souls. You had the Tribe Called Quest, man. You had just amazing hip-hop that kind of got pushed aside because everybody wanted the raw, rugged, the labels especially of like Biggie, right? And the gangsterism and the celebration of that violence. And it's like all of a sudden these movements kind of got pushed aside. And conscious hip hop has always to me been more equated to the underground. It's definitely been a lot less conscious music in the mainstream. You have rare occasions of like the Lupe Fiascos breaking through, but it really doesn't happen enough, I think. Anyways, let's see where Russ is going. He's making some good points here.
Drug overdose by following somebody who does not even do the drugs that they said they did.
Valid point, yeah.
What the fuck are we talking about? Everyone wants to tiptoe around the fucking, because certain people are Teflon and you can't talk on certain
why
shit.
is there a defensiveness around this? Al, what do you think that is?
Because people are trying to protect free speech, even if this free speech is negative.
I don't think it's free speech.
Yes, it is.
I think it's a cultural.
That's what it is. It's like, oh, we should be able to say what we say.
No,
you can, but then also face the consequences.
I think it's cultural success, and I think it's like.
I think it's we should be able to say what we can say, but then that's fine. But you cannot absolve yourself of the accountability when you have to face the consequences of your actions, and when the chickens come home to roost. When Juice World, who did drugs because of you, dies, that is a real moment of reflectiveness that needs to happen within the culture.
Real quick.
Wow.
Question.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing, is that words do carry weight. People are like, oh, sticks and stones can break my bones. Words can never hurt me. No, words can hurt. Words carry so much weight and influence. And as a lyricist myself and a wordsmith, you know, I realize the strength and the value in the choice of your words. And I've always felt like, look, I can only speak from personal experiences. You know, I have a responsibility to my platform. I have a responsibility to the people who follow me, who listen to my music. And I'm always conscious of the messages that I'm portraying and what I'm putting out there. And yeah, I get the argument. Again, there's good arguments being made, and there are good counters to Russ here in terms of freedom of speech and just protecting the artist. Like, art is meant there to be art. When Eminem runs around talking about, you know, like killing his mom or killing Kim, he doesn't actually mean that, right? That's an extreme version, right? That's him using art to like let out his anger, his frustrations, to find a way to release it healthily, not unhealthily, right? But you think about that. Does that mean a bunch of kids want to run around like going, killing their ex and being influenced by violence in that way? So I understand that because, yeah, there is that side of it, right? It is still a part of the entertainment industry at the end of the day. But I think what Russ is saying is rap more so than other genres of music and rap more so than like films and all that. Rap has its roots really in realness, the realness and the accountability and transparency of an MC.
That needs to happen within the culture.
What do you guys think, by the way? Please make some points below. Comment. I think this is a really interesting discussion and debate here.
Real quick. No, question.
That's the reality.
Yeah,
Am I tripping?
No, you're not. But I don't think anyone like... Yeah.
When Alex Jones or when Tucker Carlson or any of these dudes that were supposed to be taken on face value, right, as like news sources and they were telling the truth, when they back up and they go, I'm just doing this for entertainment, they get ridiculed.
Yeah.
How dare you manipulate all these people?
Right.
But what I'm saying is you could make the same argument that Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, or any
No,
of these
because
guys
presenting yourself as news is
Right.
different.
I see where you're going.
You won me over with Juice WRLD, but you can't go news because news is news. It is. I'm presenting this as news for you to consume as facts.
But you have to
and you should
understand,
operate with
to a
this as-
17-year-old,
This is my life. How is
to a
that different?
17-year-old, a rapper is giving them news on the culture.
But it's
the same thing,
It's candy news. It's like sports is real.
No, but like rappers are
I
the
think
fucking...
we're kind of arguing two things. Like, no one's trying to absolve...
It's like sports is real. Hang on, what? That's a wild left field statement to make. Sports is fake. The NFL is scripted. The Swifties are coming for you, my friend.
Rappers, like, influence. Like, a parent should raise their kids.
For sure.
Kids can look up to somebody and be influenced by, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's up to the parents to raise your kid.
But what if the parents aren't there, though?
So it's like this artist should be able
What if the household is split?
to be
What if the parents are just bad parents?
an artist. If they are actually, and we gotta can't act like this shit isn't going on. Yes, there are some rappers that are fronting, but there are rappers that really are about that life. Like we see it happening. We see Chicago. We see
For sure.
there are. So it's like you can't put all the onus on the
No.
artist.
And for a disclaimer, I'm not talking about the ones who are actually talking. Like I said, I'm not talking about the ones who are actually talking
No,
about
but
the
even
trauma.
the ones that aren't.
No, but see, that's where you have to start raising an eyebrow of like, this is a little bit evil, because if you are purposely choosing to promote a negatively influential lifestyle that you yourself are not even
take
living,
that part in,
this
yeah.
is fucked up. I'm not talking about the ones who are like, yo,
I'm not advocating for it. I'm not
I
saying.
really lived this. I did X, Y, and Z. I'm using my music as a journal to talk about it. Let them express what they express. The ones who are not doing it, but they're doing it.
Look, I mean, even I listen to it, right? You know, you have your mix when I was raised coming up, and you listen to like the Pacs of the world or the 50s and the more violent side. But they also painted a picture of the realities that surrounded them and the situations around them. And that, again, is one of the allures of rap, is because it can tell the struggle, right, within some of these inner city, impoverished communities, surrounded by violence, surrounded by gangs, surrounded by drugs, and give you a different appreciation and a different side of life that you might not necessarily think about or view. It gives a voice to the underprivileged.
Because it makes money, and then they have blood on their hands.
I'm going to
It's
further
fucked up. There's no
reinforce
way
the
to slice that.
stereotypes of the black community for my personal gain.
And to their
Yes,
point,
that's a crazy intro.
And
But that's essentially what the criticism is. It's like, if you are living these things, that's incredibly unfortunate, and you were born into a situation you probably couldn't avoid, and you should be able to speak on your experience. But if you did not live them at all, you are further reinforcing the stereotypes of the black community just so you personally can
Get money.
while those
That's
people
the definition
continue
of
to
selling your
suffer.
soul.
Yes.
That's the definition of selling your soul.
I think that criticism is
okay,
good.
but to what we're all talking about, because what I've heard from a lot of people sitting here is, well, but it's WWE. Okay, so what we're saying, what I hear is that majority of rappers have sold their soul, but it's okay because it's art.
No, I'm saying...
I will say also to his point, it's not just negative reinforcement. It sets up a negative reward system where you think to yourself, if I want to make it, I got to be one of the real guys. Not even fake it. I got to be...
I think one of the issues, and we've seen this, is that there's an oversaturation of certain themes within mainstream hip-hop. And the labels do have a lot to blame for this and a lot of play over this situation, right? To me, there's not enough of a balance of hip-hop. there's so much amazing rap if you dig into the underground, like subgenres and really just cool artistic shit and things that people are doing and themes that they're talking about and discussing, right? That doesn't get presented and promoted to a radio audience, to a mainstream audience. And these rappers are dope MCs. And, you know, it's just, this is the current trends. This is the situation. And when you have big corporations, a lot of times there's less motivation to try something new versus this is what we know works. This is the formula for success. So why would we change it? You know, let's just carry on making profits and let's carry on doing what we do. I just wish there was a lot more of a balance to it and a lot more artists, maybe with more conscious platforms, or just thinking differently about their art and the themes that they're discussing, getting away from a lot of the mainstream topics that are presented to more people, because it may influence more up and coming rappers to go, wow, this dude has made it doing this lane. The issue is that you have all these artists making it this way, glorifying the drugs, the substance abuse and things like that. And all the artists that are up and coming, they're like, well, this is what fucking works. So this is what I have to do to get paid. I would do anything to get out of my situation and to try to make a better life for me and my family. So fuck it. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go all in that situation. You know, one thing is a lot of these conversations, even like Russ and the arguments, they're looking at the individual. But there's also, to me, systematic issues that need to be looked at and need to be discussed. Anyways, this is a really deep one, man. This is a wild interview. Really, really interesting. I love how Russ debates. I love how, you know, he can take on board opinions, think of things, counter, and go through it. He discusses a lot in this interview. I highly recommend it. I'll put the link to it below. He talks about rappers that are lying. He talks about how the industry uses plants and takes advantage of that. He exposes the industry, paying for fake streams, things that I've been saying for a while. Really, really interesting interview from Russ. Anyways, I hope you guys go check it out. Russ, you were Knox Hill certified. Hope you guys liked today's video. Listen, for some reason here at the end, obviously enjoying the content. Do me a huge favor, support channel directly. Subscribe, notifications on. Really, really does go a long way. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay positive. It's Smalley Knox Hill. You know I'll catch you again.